So Mark or Mario, you may know more than I remember better than I that, Alan has been with us how many times in the past?
Oh, I'd say at least a half a dozen.
Yeah.
And
Okay,
you've done best of year also.
yeah.
Yep.
So he's also the president of the Monmouth Photography Club, and which has a lot of interesting, it's a very interesting website actually. And there's a lot, yeah, the site, the pages that you have. Hold on, Diana, that's Diana. Yes,
Hi, Sandy.
you have to mute yourself if you're talking. Hold on.
What about phone audio?
Go ahead.
Hi, okay, so what I was
I
saying,
came over here to Diana,
Okay.
but Diana's having trouble getting on.
okay,
Uh,
Mark?
Yeah, go
Okay,
ahead.
okay, so I was saying about the website, Alan, the site that your website has some interesting page with very interesting links, and anybody can go on them, right, Alan?
Yes, there's
And-
no secret
Yeah.
password.
Yeah, there's a lot of interesting links to different photo sites. I mean, I send them out by email periodically, but here they have a lot of them in all one place, and they're quite extensive. And I noticed that Alan won a couple of honorable mentions in the 2023, the NJFCC Fall Pictorial Awards. You're Twisted, which I liked a lot, and you're Coming and Going. So,
Thank you.
yeah, hold on. Yeah, so I think we could start.
Okay, what I'm going to do is I am going to mute all but a soft mute, which means that you could turn yourself on again. I'm going to ask Alan to unmute himself.
Okay,
Hold on, Alan. Okay, you can share the screen now. Let me just get the Zoom up, okay? Okay, what we're going to start off with is the open class B, which is the beginner through intermediate.
okay. Start. I just want to thank you for having me again. I guess that's somewhat a vote of confidence that maybe I'll be back again.
Mhm. It sure is. Tell me when you're ready.
I'm ready.
Okay. Stonebridge Photography Club Open B, Blue Eyes.
Okay, so I want to see if I can annotate. Do you see that, Mark?
Yes, I do. Mhm.
Okay, good. So let me get rid of that. Okay. So very nice, unique angle. The dog is making good contact with the viewer. The fur is well defined, so it's good exposure. And the depth of field is such that the face and into the base of the ears is defined. And then you see a part of the body that is not in focus, and that's perfectly okay. One comment, and I think it's significant, is that the bottom is cutting off part of the dog's nose or muzzle, whatever. And that could be corrected if you allow it in generative fill in Photoshop. I don't think, to my mind, that would be cheating, but I assume the dog didn't stay still. And so here you're going to just take a whole bunch of shots and put it on fast, rapid fire and hope that one of them comes out. But I would keep this in.
Drink from here and get an A.
Good exposure. Nice color saturation. I like the angle. Nothing really is distracting. But it is a little bit static, but it's a study of that monument. And it's handled well, so that would be in.
Yellow Rose, Stratford on Avon.
So the central part of the rose is well exposed and is sharp. The sharpness does fall off a little bit on the rear petals, and that's perfectly okay. I like the placement, but and the background on the right side of the rose of the image is good. It's dark, it's green, it complements the yellow, but this portion here is bright. Did you see that, Mark?
No,
I drew a line and it disappeared. Do you see that?
no, I don't.
Oh, all right. Well, it's not working. Anyway, the left portion of the image competes a little bit too much with a really nice image of the rose. So that needs to be toned down, especially those rust colors. And I wouldn't crop that left part to eliminate it, because the rose is sort of looking to the left and it needs room to look at. 7 in.
Okay. Saint Vladimir.
Well, I think this is sort of a record shot. The exposure is for my taste just a little bit too bright, but the interest is in the facade of the church, and I think too much of the image is occupied by rather mundane staircase, the hedge on the right, and so I would suggest that, and I don't know where this is, so I don't know if it's local or you have to travel, but a better image would have been taken had you stood midway or even towards the top of the staircase and captured the entire doorway. The building is framed nicely by the branches, but just a third is just ruining the picture. It's just ugly and uninteresting. Out.
What a wonderful world.
A good detail in the cloud. The sky is not blown out or anything. But now I'm trying to decide if you want me to look at the tree or the very interesting lower cloud. The upper cloud really doesn't add much. And then you have the mountain on the bottom. So what is this supposed to be about? Where am I supposed to look? So even though it's handled well technically, compositionally, I think it's weak, and I'm not sure where to look. Out.
Time for lunch.
So, like I said in the previous one, where am I supposed to look? If it's lunch and you want me to look at a small group, well, which group? You've got the gentleman in the lower right, his feet are cut off. You see him because he's got a nice white bright shirt. You've got the alley to the left with photographing the rear of people. That doesn't contribute to the image. There's just, I think you need to select what is your subject and photograph that. And then you've got people on the right dining and it's in dark shade, that would be okay if you had focused on a smaller section. So think about what you want the viewer to see.
Alan,
Yes,
I'm sorry. I just want to make sure you're viewing properly. Did you say you thought the guy on the right's feet were cut off?
yes.
Oh, because we can see them.
Oh, okay.
Talking about the guy in the white shirt?
Yeah, wait a minute, let me,
He's got gray,
I
gray
got, okay,
sneakers on.
yeah, okay, I got it. I
I'm
had it-
sorry to interrupt. I was just
Yeah, no,
concerned.
no, thank you.
Poor view.
Yeah, so you're correct, it's all of him, but all my other comments remain. So thank you. Oh, out.
Love at first sight.
Well, I'm not a fan of all the fancy distracting frames. Having said that, that doesn't affect how I would rate the photo. So good focus on the eyes, good saturation. You see my drawing on the leg? I guess not, it won't stick. I think the leg needs to be in focus. And maybe toned down a little bit. Because my eye is going there. And of course, you want me to look at the face of the dog. But it's a nice tight shot, nothing extraneous in the image. And
Mark, before you go, can you let Diana in?
I'm having a problem right now.
Oh,
I'll try to do it when we finish this
Okay.
contest.
Good, okay.
Okay, his doors.
so I'm seeing like a smearing or a ghost on the top of the doors. And some of them on the left. So something was done, maybe it was selected and the background was blurred, something. And I don't think the door on the right is in focus. So that's easily taken care of, just crop it out. Darken, I would suggest darkening the background, but the foreground, the wall is distracting. So there are just some technical issues that really need to be worked on. Out.
Flowers, Bath, UK.
So you've isolated the group of flowers, and that's good. They're well exposed. I think a vignette would help this image to draw you to the flowers and tone down some of the background, which is bright. And I think in a situation like this, and maybe you did it, in addition to taking all of the flowers, to zoom in on one or two and work the arrangement. Now, exposure and saturation are good. And
Tall grass.
so it's an abstract to me. It doesn't have to have any particular meaning, but I think it's a little bit too bright, a little bit overexposed. And I don't think you need as much of the blue sky, because your subject is how the grass created this abstract. Let me just, I'm just looking to get the right size of my screen. Okay. And so as an abstract, you don't have to necessarily have a focal point. The whatever's on the towards the bottom really doesn't fit in with the abstract nature of the grasses. And I'm not sure you need the grasses coming in on the right. So that, to me, the interesting part and what you should focus on is the central part with just a tad of the blue sky. So there's a good photo here, but it needs a lot of some work to crop out.
Arizona landscape.
So you have a path that's leading you, although it dead ends right away. But several issues. You've got a stone feature on the right, which is very dark, and you don't see much detail. And then it has a white outline on the left of its perimeter. And then on the left side, the other stone structures are a little bit too bright. So the contrast has not been handled well. And then compositionally, I think the shrub on the lower right is not really framing, it's blocking you. And as is the structure on the very bottom of the image, that it really doesn't add and sort of prevents you from walking down the path. You know, but I'm not sure how or what happened with the structure on the right with that white outline, and that's a significant issue. Out.
Up the downstairs.
Well, the stairs, the confusion, which is good, the shadows all contribute to the image and its composition. I think it's handled very well. Good exposure, tones of yellow and brown. The one suggestion I would make would be to deal with whatever's protruding in the lower right corner and clone that out or use generative fill, and it would be gone. It's not contributing to the image. I wouldn't crop it out because I think you would lose too much of your image and the storytelling. In
Lazy day on the Potomac.
the highlight in the eyes, I'm looking for detail in the dark area, and there's a little bit, not much, but I like the tonality, the reflections, suggest perhaps a little bit more of the image on the right for the, I don't know, I was gonna say duck, goose, whatever it is, to swim into. I like the way the water was handled, and I think in another instance where a vignette would force unknowingly, that would, if it's done right, you don't want to have it heavy, but really focuses the viewer's attention on the subject, which is the bird. And
Wise old owl.
the eyes are sharp, but the depth of field was such that the beak and the feathers and the face are not sharp. Excuse me. And the background's a little bit distracting, but the bird has to be tacked sharp in the front. And if your depth of field falls off in the back, if you had the more of the body of the owl, that would be fine. Out.
Polly wants a cracker.
Good exposure on the parrot. I was thinking of cropping more on the bottom, but then you would cut off the tail. Because I don't like, personally, I don't like the perch the parrot's sitting on. It's kind of ugly. So maybe to crop below the foot. And then you're focusing from the foot and really the body of the bird and the head. But otherwise, I think it's done well.
Okay, I'm gonna have to let some people in, so give me a second here.
Just somehow my scribblings went on the main screen.
Okay, hold on. Okay, now let's do round two.
And so I'll score them, and then afterwards, you want what, first, second, third?
And if there are any nines, when you score with the awards, first, second, third, any nines that are left become honorable mention.
Okay,
Okay, here we go. Blue eyes.
7,
Drink from here and get an A.
8,
Yellow Rose, Stratford-on-Avon.
8,
Love at First Sight.
8,
Flower Bath, UK.
7,
Up the Downstairs.
9,
Lazy Day on the Potomac.
9,
Polly wants a cracker.
7,
Okay, we have 2 nines. Just show you those and tell me which is first and which is second.
the staircase is first.
Okay, then let me make that 9. And the other one, I'm sorry. The other one, I'll make it an 8. Okay, and this one, I want to, we have one here that will create for third place.
Okay, so the other 2 were first and second, and this will be third.
That's correct.
With a flower.
Okay, here we do review contest. Open third place, Yellow Rose, Stratford-on-Avon, Harvey, beautiful job. I don't think he's here, but beautiful job. Second place, Lazy Day on the Potomac, me. And first place, Diana. Congratulations, Diana, really nice. Okay, now what we're gonna do is we're gonna go open A. Score. You ready?
Yes,
Cool. By a window on a rainy day.
I like that.
Please be quiet or silence yourself.
Really very interesting. Cropped well, exposed well. Normally, I would say the background is too bright, but I think it works in this instance. Because the central point is so striking.
Rose landmark.
So the rose scene is in focus, it's sharp. And then it boils down to my reaction or any other viewer's reaction to the filter that was applied and whether or not they like it or feel that, for example, for me, does it enhance the image, the rose, which is the focal point, or does it compete? And I feel the background particularly is competing too much with the rose. So the filter on the rose works well. And I would suggest that the background be toned down, make it a little bit darker and a little bit less saturated out.
My sweet friend.
Good exposure on the girl and the dog. Looks like she was in the shade, which is really great for even lighting. Having said that, particularly on the upper portion of the image, I would clone out the brightness, clone it out, or again, generative fill, which does the same as cloning, but it just does a better job than we could do. And I would suggest toning down the bright spots at the girl's elbow. I wouldn't play with those, just tone them down. But it's a nice storytelling captured at a good moment. And
Sea turtle enjoys the sun's warmth.
nice storytelling. I would like that. So the turtle stands out nicely from the water, but tends to merge a bit into the gravel or the whatever it's sitting on. So I'd like to see the turtle be a little bit more distinct from that base it's sitting on, whether from saturation or brightness, or maybe darkening that base. And the rays, whether they were there or added, I think they're perhaps a little bit too strong. Less is more. I would tone that down. In
Big ball, small bowler.
storytelling, but I think this is a nice storytelling for your family album. And you've got glare on the bowling ball. You don't have detail in her hair. It's all too dark out.
Sorry.
Okay, well, I don't understand the title versus the image, but that's okay. I like the arc of whatever I'm looking at, the contrast and coloration between the red, orange, and the blue sky. And it looks almost as if that structure puffed out that little cloud. And there's nice detail. You see all the stitching on that red object, then all the screws in.
Current in profile.
Well done. Well done. Real good detail on all the feathers. You see the bright eye. You see detail in the dark feathers. The light areas are not blown out, and the background is handled well. In
Dahlia Midnight.
so, I don't take off for it, but I don't know where this image ends relative to the background. So I see a stem, and is that at the base of the image? So suggest you put a stroke. Having said that, I like the conversion to black and white and the nice contrast between the whites and grays of the dahlia versus the stark black background. And it's sharp, good exposure in
Looking up a palm tree at sunset.
a nice unique angle. The sky is handled well, good exposure, nothing is blown out. A nice contrast between the orange and blue of the sky. I just wish that I guess those are called fronds, and the top and on the right were not cut off. And that a little bit more of the image for the left one. But the exposure is good, and it's an interesting and thought-provoking image in
Keep out.
I think this works well in black and white. I'm looking at the textures, I'm looking at the shadows, the background is handled well, and that it's blurry, so that your attention is focused on the lock, the chain, the fence posts. Very nicely done. And
In the colonial window.
a good exposure in and out, and that can be a challenge. Like the shadow, and then the vase itself against the window. I might suggest toning down the lighter portion of the roadway so that it doesn't compete with the vase. But an interesting creative image in.
Dahlia Enjoy.
Okay, so here we don't have a stroke, but it's obvious from the composition where the image ends. And again, nice black and white conversion, sharp. You know, it doesn't adhere to the rule of thirds, but that's great because this deserves to be in the center as the maker placed it. Good detail in all the leaves, everything sharp. In
View a winding stream. View of a winding stream.
The stream is interesting, it's winding, leads you to the back, so it's a nice leading line. And whether or not there was a filter placed on it, it just seems very funky to me. The sky seems very artificial, and the shrubs in the immediate foreground at the bottom of the image should be in focus. So that becomes a challenge with depth of field out.
It's not nice to stare.
Well, I don't know if the maker stood there and waited for someone to walk by, wearing a skimpy outfit or was posed, but it's a great storytelling. And the geometry of the rail and its brightness sticks out. The background is handled excellently, particularly the sky and with the vignette. Good tone on the woman. Nothing is blown out in.
Lily Peace.
I like the way the flower is handled, but I'll be somewhat consistent in saying that the background competes with it too much. So for my taste, I would like to see that background toned down because you want me to look at your subject, unless of course you're creating an abstract and then it doesn't matter, but this is not an abstract. I don't remember what I did with the other one, doesn't matter,
You in?
you know.
Okay, cool. Retired Bo Peep shepherds, egrets instead of sheep.
Well, I'm trying to decide if it's the very warm lighting or it was applied. It just doesn't seem real. And I see highlights on the back of some of the egrets. But it's busy. You've got an egret with a head cut off because of the pier. You've got the rear end of a dog. What is the woman doing? So it's an attempt at a story, but I don't think it really is strong out.
Okay. Now we're gonna go for round two. Open A. By a window on a rainy day.
8,
My sweet friend.
7,
Sea turtle enjoys the sun's warmth.
7,
Sorry.
8,
Heron in profile.
9,
Dahlia midnight.
9,
Looking up a palm tree as the sun sets.
8,
Keep out.
8,
In a colonial window.
9,
Dahlia enjoy.
9,
It's not nice to stare.
9,
Lily Peace.
7.
Okay. We're gonna pick a first, second, and third, and the remaining will get an honorable mention.
Okay. Okay, so the first is the dahlia, the big one, this one.
This one?
Yeah.
Got it.
Second is with the woman.
This one?
Yeah.
Okay.
And third is the window.
Okay. Stonebridge Photography Club, Open A. Honorable mention, Heron in Profile, Mario, beautiful job. Dahlia Midnight, David, once again, way to go. Third place, In the Colonial Window, Mario, excellent. Second place, It's Not Nice to Share, Dan. Terrific job, Dan. And first place, Dahlia Enjoy, David again. Beautiful job, wow. All right. Next thing we're gonna do is Old Things Group B.
Are these self-portraits?
These are not self-portraits necessary. These are pictures of old items.
Okay.
Now you won't be invited back.
This is Group A?
Group B.
Oh, Group B, okay,
Yeah, I usually do the
yeah, okay.
beginning and intermediate first and any sets. Old Homestead at Country Boy Mine.
Okay, so when I judge a theme, in addition to all the other criteria, a major factor is how well does the image display the theme? That someone not knowing the theme would look at it in this case and say, oh, that's an old couple of shacks. So having said that, yes, a couple of old shacks, good exposure, tells a nice story, good saturation. And
Try Lobite.
so I would have liked to have the shadows on the bottom eliminated. And this is like a still life, and you can control that. And the lighting is just very flat out.
When Nights Were Bold.
So there's a lot to take in, and I'm not sure that the night is as sharp as it should be. But it's just very busy. And so where do you want me to look? Okay, you said night in the picture, but without the title, I don't know where to look. And get in closer, zoom in, or if you can't, in post-processing, crop so that you eliminate the clutter out.
National Parks Commemoratives.
Good exposure. It's not a particularly dynamic image, but it is a collection of old stamps. And good saturation, handled well in.
Saracens Pub Bath, UK.
No. The building is well exposed, but there were several issues. On the top, cut off the chimney, and you've got a guy walking out of the image that really isn't connected with the building. And you probably could have cropped the building to eliminate the issue of the bland sky and chopping off the top of the chimney. In addition, you've got keystoning. So I'm assuming it was from the camera and not that it's just an old building that's leaning in on itself. And so that's keystoning is very easy to take care of in the free transform or the other transform features in Photoshop. And so out.
Old meat chopper.
I like the idea. It's exposed well and a nice, like the surface it's on, but now you controlled where you put it, you control the background, and the background is competing. A sheet, piece of paper, something, or different placement where the background was plain would make this a much stronger image. And I would have allowed a little bit more space on the left for the meat grinder out.
Vintage Kodak, black and white.
So to me, this is akin to taking a picture of a statue without doing anything to make it your own image in terms of angle or lighting. This was a display, and it's a record shot of someone else's display. I think it was wise to convert it to black and white, consistent with those cameras which were shooting in black and white. And then you've cut off some of the wording at the very top. I guess it says Kodak cameras. So ask, what did you do to make it your own? And I don't think, other than converting it, much was done out.
Long gone.
Well exposed, good focus. Maybe having a little bit more on the right side without, it didn't quite cut off the image. Maybe it did, but just a little bit more. Certainly give it points for ugly. So in.
Rusty wagon wheel.
Okay, so the wagon wheel is interesting, but there's just too much clutter in the background. It's, and it's not the sort of thing you can pick up and move. So it is what it is. It's there, but it's a record shot, and unfortunately, all the background is competing out.
Egyptian statue.
Looks exposed well, but again, the shadows are distracting. It's sort of a record shot, and 6.
Old things.
So it's an old recreation, an old collection. It's busy, but I think it works. It's showing this old time interior. The thing that catches my eye, unfortunately, is that green door on the left, and I would either clone it out or crop it out. And there's something on the ceiling that is catching my eye, the middle of the frame at the ceiling. And again, that can be cropped out. So with some of the cropping, I think you would have a stronger image. But then you have to ask yourself, why are you cutting off the legs of the chair? And if you had tilted your camera down a little bit more, you would have eliminated the object on the top and would have captured the chair's in its, in their entirety out.
Rotten onion,
Creative in terms of the subject, but also how it was placed, what it was placed on. Again, I think a vignette would help. I don't mind in this instance, the lighter background, but I'm looking at some of the edge, especially the top edge of the onion, and there's something funky going on again. Maybe it was cut out and then placed on that background as opposed to being shot with that background. So a good idea, but there's a significant technical flaw. 6.
Bath UK Bridge,
So the railing, the on the left, and the waters and the structure point you to the bridge, so you've got some leading lines. Unfortunately, it's an overcast day, but that helps the detail, seeing the detail on the bridge and the structure. I would suggest, since the sky is not that interesting, to crop a little bit tighter on the top, and perhaps maybe to bring out a little bit more detail in the sky to make it a little bit more interesting. But well done. In
groaning board,
I'm looking to see if I would crop this, and I think it makes a stronger image if I crop a lot from the bottom and eliminate that very large hotspot, and therefore have the viewer focus and look at what's on the table. And so there's a making of an interesting composition, but cropping on the bottom, and I think cropping on the left, eliminating the distraction of the white brick wall. Both those things would home in on the table, which is your subject. 6.
tools from past trades,
Handled well, good lighting, good detail. I might have converted this to black and white because it's just about black and white, but that's the maker's choice. And I like the placement on an angle of the knife and scissors. And
vintage Kodak,
well, I'll say what I said before, 6.
remember these,
Okay. So your theme is old. And I would look at these, and it doesn't say old to me, it says candy. It's composed well. I would tone down the saturation a bit, but it doesn't say old to me. 6.
why don't I just DQ it,
Up to you.
this way they can resubmit it in another
Okay.
contest. Old mining relics,
The exposure is done well and sharp. But I don't think the cable is a large enough and strong enough component of the image compared to all the bright cyan that it's weeds, whatever that is, or rust, whatever it's sitting on. So it doesn't stand out. And maybe with some additional processing, with bringing out the color and reducing the color and the saturation and some of the other areas of the background, that the coil, the cable would stand out. 06.
Fossil fish 2.
But I'd like to see a little bit more detail in the fossil, but I would say here again, what did you do to make this your own? And it's it's a record shot. 6.
Best in class.
So I think you have to, the exposure is pretty good, although there are some hot spots. And you've got one bulb on top of that, the carriage, that's very distracting. And again, Photoshop can take that out pretty readily. So you would have to decide, should I move in and take a tighter shot of the central part of the carriage? Or should I capture the entire carriage and not clip off the wheel on the lower left, or the crown, or whatever the decoration is at the very top? And then you have a distracting light on the right from an adjacent hallway. 06.
Shakespeare's Window, Stratton on Avon.
Good isolation of a subject. I think it could use a little bit more contrast, but I like the texture of the wood and the contrast between the structure of the window and its geometry and the structure of the wood. I'm going to mention something that's sort of a pet peeve. Does this say to anyone that it's Avon? No. It's textures. Moving on, in.
Culloden Clan marker.
I don't think this says to me old. Now, it may well be, but it's a stone with some, some words on it. It just doesn't speak of old, and the background is too bright. So I don't know if you want to.
Yeah, I'll DQ it this way. They can
Okay.
resubmit it again. Old tires.
So it's a little bit underexposed, but the tires are taking up maybe 1/3 of your image. The tree, the lawn, the trees in the background don't really belong in the image, which is supposed to be having a subject of old. So certainly the tires are old, no doubt about it. And so homing in on it, a section of it, you don't need to show all that other stuff. 6, out.
Country boy mine.
The fence is leading you to the decrepit structures. I think you can do without the structure on the left. You still would retain most of the fence and lead you to the main portion of this image, which is that large decrepit building. And I would take out the streak in the sky, I guess it's an airplane contrail. It's just as annoying, excuse me, and it's certainly not in concert with your theme. 7.
Inca pre-Columbian.
I don't know if these are objects that the maker owns or was part of a museum, but it's a very static and harsh with the shadows. And the 3 objects really don't seem to have any connection out.
Staring back.
No, I assume this is Stonehenge, but it doesn't matter. The sure, a face, and I see that. So as presented, I would crop out some of the uninteresting sky and try to bring out more detail in the stones to make them really pop and stand out. And you probably don't need the little piece of sky on the left. You could crop that just as you cropped a stone on the right. 6. Nope, out.
Round 2. Old homestead at Country Boy Mine.
8.
National Parks commemoratives.
7.
Long gone.
7.
Bath, UK Bridge.
8.
Tools from the past.
9.
Shakespeare's Window, Stratford-on-Avon.
9.
Country Boy Mine.
8.
Okay, from the first 2, we're gonna have a first and second place,
All right. The first place is the window.
okay? Okay, and from here, we're gonna get a third place.
The shacks.
This one?
No, yeah. Mark, if you excuse me for 1 second, I need to get some water. I'll be right back.
Sure. All right, now we're gonna review the contest. Yellow, go. Old Things, B. Third place, Old Homestead at Country Boy Mine. Sandy, beautiful job, as always. Second place, Tools from the Past, Diana. Diane, I'm sorry, Diane. Very, very nice, Diane. And first place, Shakespeare Window Stratford-on-Avon, Harvey. Great job, Harvey. Okay, now for our last contest of the day. And that's going to be old things from our experts. Are you ready?
Yes,
Wheel of Time.
very interesting. Um, and it doesn't matter whether this was something the maker saw and captured or created. Um, Old wheel, the old wood. Good exposure. And
Delivery truck.
so I like the fact that the image shows the truck on an angle. It's much more dynamic as opposed to just the front view or side view. Suggests having a little bit more space on the top and cropping a little bit on the back. You don't need to show as much of the building. And I suspect that a vehicle like this, the opportunities for untold number of images, regardless of whether or not they exemplify your theme. And
Old photos, old memories.
well, I saw the pictures and they were intriguing. And then I saw the hand and the doily. And that really sold me on this. There's nothing that I can contribute to make this better. And
Charles Rudge.
well, the color of the bird and the color of the statue just seem off to me. And um, the there's a little bit of halo going on around the hands. So maybe this was extracted from another photo and the sky was replaced, but that's a very small portion. I don't see that artifact elsewhere. But the coloring, I find off-putting out.
Kodak NS Stigmat.
So the way the image was processed adds to the storytelling. It's consistent with the old camera and the kind of look, I guess, that it would produce or could produce from its images. Well placed in the frame, background handled well.
Been here forever.
Well, it doesn't, yeah, it's old, but it doesn't say old to me. I would not conclude that it's a theme of old, but rather an interesting geometric shapes of this cactus.
Okay, maybe we'll disqualify it. In need of TLC.
Nothing extraneous. Nice tight shot. Good texture. the peeling, the rust. Really well done. The white is not blown out. In
Is this patio allowed in Stonebridge?
So I'd like to see a little bit more pop, a little bit more contrast in this image. Composition wise, I think I would suggest cropping this structure off on the right. Because you want to, you're looking at the structure on the left as it recedes into the back wall. And personally, I would have gotten rid of the chair, and that's pretty easy to do these days, but that's a maker's decision. But I certainly would have toned down the chair in the back. That pops out and is not consistent with the rest of the image. Out.
Jerusalem Song.
So good exposure, well done, good capture at the moment. While some of the guitar is not sharp, the gentleman's face is sharp, and that's the most important feature. In
The Clock at Jack's Pizza.
well, it's an old-timey look, not just the clock, but the booths and everything that is in the image. It has a different kind of feel in terms of the handling of the color, and I think that complements the storytelling of the image. In
Millions of years in the making.
I think this is handled quite well. It's an object, it's not floating in space. You see some shadow, you see it, the structure, the surface it's sitting on, and you see a lot of the detail and the highlights and the shadows. There's nothing extraneous, well handled. In
Old Cemetery.
I think it's a busy but nice composition. I would crop maybe a tad more on the top and darken that background. Looks like some sort of post-processing filter was applied, and I think that it works well in this image. It has a grungy feel, and that's appropriate to the subject matter. And
Old Thing.
I like the detail, nothing extraneous, the texture of the rust, the peeling paint. It might be slightly oversaturated, but it's well done. And the fact that it's not quite symmetrical makes it more interesting as well. In
Decayed.
well, this is an abstract, and it's an interesting abstract. A lot of features, the horizontal lines, the features below those lines and above. Interesting color and saturation in
Abandoned and overgrown.
But I think compositionally, it's done well. Placement of the bridge in the image. But the processing, the coloration, the saturation, I think it's a little bit overdone, for at least for my taste. Out.
Grandma's old vase.
So again, nice. This is nice side lighting, lights up the vase. It's standing on something. The background is handled well and it's darker than the surface that the vase is sitting on. And no blown out items. And good detail in.
Almost 100 years old.
This doesn't say old to me. It's an architectural.
All right. 100 years old.
I like the idea. I don't think though that the hands are sharp. I'm trying to, let me try something here. Yeah, I don't think it's sharp. It's and it's a shame because it's a nice nice subject, a nice attempt. A 6.
Old mill.
Placement of the building in the image is handled well. It's on an angle. It makes it to be more than just a record shot. I was here. I think it's a bit oversaturated, and that detracts from the quality of the image. The sky is a little bit too saturated, but particularly the orange hues seem to be overdone. A 6.
Great Wall of China.
I don't know how the maker found a time when there was just one person walking there, but kudos. And the shadows are great. I think wise to convert it to black and white because you're focusing on the shadows, the textures, the lighting, and the wall is just leading you off into infinity in the upper right corner. The placement or the fact that there's a person gives it scale. And the sky is handled very well.
Okay, we have 13 for round 2. Wheel of Time.
The 7.
Delivery truck.
7.
Old photos, old memories.
9.
Kodak and Anastigmat.
9.
In need of TLC.
9.
Jerusalem Song.
8.
The Clock at Jack's Pizza.
7.
Millions of years in the making.
8.
Old Cemetery.
7.
Old Thing.
8.
Decayed.
9.
Grandma's old vase,
7,
Great Wall of China.
9,
Okay. Okay, we're gonna have a first, second, third, and the remaining will be honorable mention.
okay, the first is the one with all the photos.
Okay,
Second is the one with the rust and the horizontal lines.
this one?
No, keep going. That one.
Okay. I'm sorry, let me go back into it. Sorry about that.
Oh, the Great Wall.
All things A, honorable mentions. Kodak assignment, Harvey. Beautiful job, Harvey. I really like the background you did there. In need of TLC, Dan, once again. Great job. Third place, Great Wall of China, Harvey again. Second place, Decay, Dan again. Wow, you guys are doing great today. And old photos, old memories, Mario. Beautiful, I really like that one. Okay. Here we are, we're back again. Okay, Alan, you really did a nice job. Anyone who wants to unmute, please feel free to do that at this time.
And entertain any questions or complaints or what have you.
Alan, you mentioned something on some of the earlier rounds about, I can't remember how you put it. It sounded like you were talking about some kind of AI software. I'm
Yes.
curious, you're talking about getting rid of some things using, I don't know, generative something AI.
Yeah.
Can you go over what you use or what you'd recommend or how much experience you have with it?
Okay, it's called generative fill.
That would not have been legal in our competitions, by the way.
Oh, I don't think we made a decision yet on that, Harvey. I mean, we're talking about it, but I think people have used
Yes,
it
we
for a
did.
corner, to fill in a corner.
Changing, that changes or adds something brand new to.
Well, let's hear what he has to say about what it is first, okay?
Mhm.
Go ahead.
Well, personally, I use it to
Sure.
effectively clone out something that I would have used the old manual tools for. I don't add a pink cow, in an image. So I don't add extraneous things. For me and the Monmouth Camera Club, it's on the honor system, and I use it to eliminate extraneous things that I would have eliminated in an image using the old manual tools. The fact that it's AI generated just makes it easier, and actually you get a better result. And each club has to decide. And ultimately, though, it's an honor system.
It's like,
Alan-
we've used it, like if say you have an image like leaves on, from a tree on the right-hand side, that's not really part of the, it's taking away from the image. You could fill that in with the, generate AI. And
Yes,
it
but-
just adds like, it's a blue sky behind it. They'll add more blue sky behind it. So it's
Well, I
it's not
wouldn't,
getting anything.
yeah, I wouldn't change, I mean, you could change the sky, but
No,
Uh,
not changing the sky. I'm just saying there's some leaves overlapping into
Right.
the picture on the like right-hand corner or something, and
Right.
you don't want that. And you don't want to crop the image.
yeah, so, but you have to be careful because the resolution is only, I think, 1020 or 1040 pixels. So you don't want to apply this to a large section, but I
Right.
wouldn't clone out a large section because it's just too difficult to do. And so basically, personally, I use it instead of the manual cloning tools.
What
Mhm.
tools,
It-
I'm
it-
curious, what tools do you use? Is it a plugin that you use to
No,
Photoshop?
no, it comes in the latest version of Photoshop.
Yeah, you just,
Okay,
yeah, you could just
Generative
use
fill.
the, yeah,
the
Yeah.
problem is, I mean, a lot of us just go no further than like elements. So this is only this, you're using something, because I've heard of Topaz AI. I think I may be wrong. I don't know if Nick has something. And you're saying now that Photoshop and the one that you pay on a monthly basis has something too.
yes,
Well, Topaz AI, there's Topaz AI denoise, which is great. It does an incredible job. And there's Topaz AI sharpen, which also does a great job. But those Topaz tools are very different than the generative fill that is now available in Photoshop. Nick, and I have both Topaz and Nick, does not use, you can't replace items in Nick.
Yeah.
It's adding filters, converting to black and white, so there are several different programs in the Nick suite, which and I only use a couple. But like I said, so in the old days, last week, if there was, well, you remember there was an image we saw that in the sky there was a contrail from a plane. There was a
Fine.
white streak.
Yeah.
Okay, I would clone that out. Now, in the old days, and I might do it manually now because it's so easy. I would use the manual tools to clone. You copy and paste basically.
You could also use content aware, even with elements.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Content aware now is AI
Right.
generated.
There was a very nice photo of steps in the open competition with the shadows.
Mhm.
And I think you pointed out in the corner, in the lower right-hand corner,
Yes.
if you remember, there was, it looked like probably part of a step or part of a banister or something
Right.
that was over, and you noted, I would use, that's where I first noted you saying AI generative tools or something you said I would use to get that out. So in
Yes.
effect, that's like using either cloning or content aware to blend that into the background.
Yeah. Well, content aware could take that out too, but
Right.
this generative fill just does an incredible job. And quite
Okay.
honestly, for the image that you're talking about, you could manually clone out that
Yes,
little corner.
but you're
So-
saying these tools do it a lot more efficiently and easier.
Yes, yes.
Mhm.
Now,
Mario, I'm looking at Adobe Express and they do have it.
Elements?
Oh, you're in Elements, not
Yeah.
Adobe.
Yeah.
I'm one of the
Photoshop,
cheap
what is
guys.
what's Photoshop Elements? Is that what it's called?
Yeah.
So
I don't
one of
believe
the
it has any of
tool,
that.
one of the tools that Photoshop now has with that combines that is called the remove tool,
yes,
which is a combination of clone and content aware, where you just swipe over that contrail, for instance, that you mentioned, just swipe over it and boom, it disappears and the background is blended in.
right. So, it's a function of what it is you're trying to correct. Which tool you use. But Rich is right. In that instance, remove would work well, but that also now is AI generated.
It
But
is.
See, I know now I have Nick, the old version, it's years old, that I use with Elements. but I've been thinking about getting one of these newer tools that have the AI tools available to it. And one I keep hearing about is Topaz AI. I'm assuming I can use that as a plugin with Elements.
You could, I don't know, but it's, the AI features are not comparable to this generative fill. There's no such comparable tool in Topaz. The two Topaz AIs, one is for denoise, so
Yeah.
you're not restricted in your ISO level anymore. I mean,
Okay.
you take something at 10,000 ISO, put it into Topaz denoise, and you wouldn't know that there was any noise in that image, that it was taken at 10,000.
Alan, I just uploaded to a new computer, the most updated version of Topaz AI, and it includes sharpen and denoise in it.
Yes, yes,
So you don't need, you just have that one and it has it all in there. It's
Right.
new. You have options of choosing what you want to do.
yeah, but
And-
we were talking about this more sophisticated tool for
Yeah.
replacing something or correcting something.
I mean,
Cloning and content aware, yeah.
Right.
Topaz doesn't have that.
no,
It
no,
does
it doesn't
not.
have
Okay.
it, but it has the noise and feature and they're all together in one program now.
Yeah, exactly.
Topaz. And Mario, I'm looking up, it says new features and elements add web functionality and take advantage of Adobe Sense's AI technology. So you may want to update your.
What version is that?
This article is dated November 16th, 2023.
Because I think I got whatever it is, I forget, 2023, 2022, something like that.
Uh-huh.
It may update for you anyway.
Yeah, but you know, this generative fill is great if you want to create your own collage of things, starting from nothing. You can do that, but you know, that's not what a photo club.
No,
No.
that's what Harvey was bringing up.
Yeah,
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 we're
yeah.
just talking about using that generative fill to remove maybe somebody's hand that's sticking out that doesn't belong.
To
Right.
do things that we do now, but in a much more efficient and in a better way.
Right,
Yeah.
in a cleaner
now
way.
remember,
Mario, I have a question. In your winning photo,
Yeah.
how'd you get the hand to look so old?
It was my wife's hand and she'll appreciate what you just said. And I got
You could have used my hand.
I gotta admit, when I took a number of test shots and I did them all in color. And then I put my own hand there. That didn't look good, fat hand. So I said, "Hon, get over here, put your hand over there." And she didn't appreciate the concept. But I did it, it came out good. But I gotta say that last step, I converted it to black and white and I put on a sepia tone. And that made the hand look older,
Yes.
interestingly. And I asked her and she thought that came across better than the full color version. So,
Did you
anyway,
make a montage of all those shots, those framed photos? Did a montage in real time? There was a still of all those photos?
yes, it was. It
Yeah.
was. Those are actually old photos from when my mother passed away 14 years ago. And they're sitting up in an old plastic bag. And I thought, well, those are old things. Spread them out and, did a couple of different arrangements. And so anyway, that was it.
I do want to point out one other thing that this generative fill can do. You recall the image of the white dog with the blue eyes and a little bit of the nose was missing.
Yes.
So on something like that, you take the crop tool and you crop it so that you're adding a little bit to the bottom of your image. And then what's called generative fill, it will then complete the image and you would have the entire nose of the dog. Now, you could do that also manually, but it takes a lot of doing.
All right. As long as you brought that up, I don't know if Walter is still on the call. Is he? Is Walter gone?
Yeah, he's gone.
Yeah,
All right. He sent me a photo of a bird that he had flying. I think it was like an egret. But the probably like about 3 or 4 inches of the wingtip was off. And off the image, and he sent me this message. He said, "Do you think it's important to have that on?" Now, Alan, you know, years ago with like especially camera naturalists and stuff, you have to have the whole bird on all of that stuff. Now, I don't agree with that because I think you can show the personalities of animals. You don't necessarily have to have the entire image, and
Right.
that includes birds. Like I did the one of the egret tonight, and I thought, I'm going for it. I'm just showing his face. To me, it's a portrait shot. But I
Yes.
said to Walter, if you've got a bird in flight and you've only got, the like about 6 inches of his wing off, that doesn't look good. That's off the frame. And that's when we talked about, I told him one technique is to expand the canvas, especially if it's a blue sky, easy to do. Make it a blue sky, put the blue sky, and then clone the other wing tip from the other side, put it up there, reverse it around, and you add it on the other thing. And I've done it. And so that's a technique. Now, what you're saying is that with these new tools, you might be able to do that without having to go through all of that work.
It's one step. It's really so easy.
Which
and-
sounds,
yeah.
which sounds very nice to an old man.
So again, if you're missing a couple of feathers on the bird, I would fix that. But if there's a whole wing missing, well, no.
Mm.
So, but it's interesting, there was a survey, and I think you guys completed it from NJFCC. And one of the questions had to do with how is the club handling AI? And a variety of answers, but basically for editing, but not adding.
Right.
Now you can define editing as you want.
I think we have not defined it. Harvey's talked a lot about it. We've had some articles. We've actually put them in our association newsletter, stuff about it. And I think we'd be going in that same direction, not creating stuff out of whole cloth, but using the tools to help enhance the things that you already do in a manual manner.
Yeah. So with that, I'm going to sign off. And again, thank you for having me.
Yeah.
Everyone
Thank you,
stay well
Alan.
Right here.
and take
Thanks,
care.
everyone.
Okay, then.
Thank you, Alan.
Good to see you, Alan.
Likewise.
Thanks, Lori, for coming, just saying
I have
hi.
to go
Bye,
see my bride of 47 years.
Well, happy
Good luck.
anniversary. Thank you.
Happy
Bye-bye.
anniversary.
Good night,
Oh,
everybody.
happy
Thank you.
night.
anniversary.